What we tend to deploy our resources to are things of what we call threat, harm and risk. So if that is identified to us as an area of threat, harm or risk, then absolutely we need to develop strategies and tactics to deal with that. We kind of review what our threat, harm and risk is on a daily basis, on a fortnightly basis, twice a year, to look at the big threats that are coming. So if that is coming up as, through our intelligence gathering mechanisms as an issue, we'll deploy our resources to it. We've got kind of 4 strands, so victim services, so that's where the bridge and SafeLink came from. How we investigate, that's where Bluestone came from, and a number of other changes we've made to our investigative standards. How we prosecute once we've got to the point of court and a trial approaching, that's how we've worked with the Crown Prosecution Service to build the rape and sexual offences team. The 4th strand is prevention. Where we've tried to work are around the prevention aspect. It's almost like in a contradictory way. One is to say, where are the areas of our community where we would expect reports to come from and they don't. The second is to look at areas where people do report and have no compunction about reporting, so we know what the problem is, and so that might be elements around what we call the nighttime economy. So what you're talking about in our police clumsy language, how we categorise things, this is about young people vulnerable because they're in places where they're vulnerable at a time of day or night where perpetrators may target them, and it may be they've been out as revellers, throughout the nighttime economy, but they might also be workers working in it. And looking at how we can develop our strategies to make people safe in that environment. So in the past, our focus there has been about enabling people to make themselves safe. So a lot of our campaigns have been around media. So we've tried to focus on students and fresh affairs and things like that, about giving people don't go out and enjoy yourself, but kind of straightforward messages about how to keep yourself safe. We've also tried to make sure that our policing operations around those times in city centres, so in Bath, in Kingswood, in South Gloucestershire, in Weston-super-Mare, and obviously in Bristol, so that our police officers and our police and PCSOs, police crime support officers, who are out and about at that time, are also being very aware of vulnerability and making sure they're in the right places at the right time, identifying potential perpetrators beforehand. We've also, through our neighbourhood teams and licensing teams, tried to do work, and this is an area where we'd like to do more, with actually people who work in those environments. One, to keep themselves safe, but also to be identifying behaviour that might be going on during the evening, if you like, where perpetrators might actually be targeting vulnerable people as well. Prevention is a big strand. In terms of that particular area you talked about, our focus up to now has been through media and getting people to understand their own safety. I think there are probably some wider messages there, though, for wider society about what's acceptable in terms of behaviour. There's a role for the police, I think, there, but I don't think ours is the primary role. I think it's for us as a community to say that's unacceptable, and where it crosses a line for the police to come in as well. But looking at the consequences, which is what I and my colleagues in all those different groups often deal with, those consequences start with certain levels of behaviour being tolerated. And I think if we could deal with certain levels of behaviour, then some of those consequences wouldn't happen.